Welcome back to the floor of my bedroom. 日本語の勉強について話しましょう. Hey guys, my name is Rose and I am a student at a Japanese language school in Kyoto, Japan. One of the main reasons why I packed up my entire life and literally moved to the other side of the world was so that I can learn the Japanese language. So yes, I've been studying for a little over 4 years now. Most of that time was self-study and I've made a lot of progress since then. There are a lot of things that I wish I did differently, a lot of things I wasted my time on, and also a lot of things that I ignored, which I should have been focusing on from the very start of my studies. I wanted to share that advice with you so that you can hopefully not make the same mistakes that I did and get to a higher level of Japanese quicker than I did. So yes, I've yet to master the language, though I am now conversational and I can read and write at about an elementary school kid's level. But I still do have a long way to go. I'm at about an N3 level. My goal is to get N2 or hopefully N1 if I make it there. Before I get into it, I guess I should give you a little example of what my Japanese sounds like. There will be mistakes, warning. So if you do catch my mistakes, leave them down in the comments below. What should we talk about? どうしよう。あ、わかった。日本での生活で一番困ったことは虫です。皆さん、日本の虫について知ってますか？日本の虫はとても大きくて怖いと思います。例えば、ムカデとかアマビルとか大きい雲の名前忘れましたけど、英語でハンツマンスパイダー、そしてスズメバチはとっても怖いですね。全部見たことがありますよ。気持ち悪い。日本の虫は怖いだけじゃなくて時々毒もあります。噛んだら病院に行ってください。では以上です。来てくれてありがとうございました。どうでした？間違えましたか？絶対間違えましたね。So yeah, that's what my Japanese sounds like. I can talk about basic things, have basic conversations. I can't go into deep things about like life and the universe. So that being said, let's get into the top 3 things that I did wrong when I first started studying Japanese. So we'll start with number 3. This is something that I think everyone who studies Japanese is guilty of. So number 3 is wasting money on textbooks. So yes, you may have an orange textbook called Genki in your room. If you do, welcome to the club. So when I first started Japanese, I was really excited. I wanted to get into it, but I also didn't realize how important it was to invest in my education. I thought maybe I can do this on my own. I'll just get a few textbooks and diligently study every day. I also got a bunch of books on particles and grammar. Some of them I never even opened. Maybe this is kind of some initiation into studying Japanese. I think everyone has some books at the bottom of their drawer somewhere that they had the greatest intentions for, but never really got around to using properly. And let's be honest, even if you did use these materials diligently, are they really useful for learning the language? It is important to learn grammar and stuff like that, but the textbook is teaching you textbook Japanese, not natural Japanese. And I found that there are sources that will teach you both grammar and conversational Japanese. For example, JapanesePod101.com. Not sponsored, by the way. This is something I currently use and I wish I used from the beginning. They have a bunch of dialogues and they teach grammar. Each lesson is only 15 minutes, so it's really digestible if you don't have time to do a whole in-depth lesson. Something I learned from language research is that shadowing is one of the best things you can do for strengthening your listening and speaking skills. So with Japanese Pod, they have these dialogues with audio that you can shadow. If you do just one a day, I think you'll see a lot of progress in your Japanese. It's something I do, and I'm trying to encourage myself to keep doing at least once a day. Amber, once a day. So yeah, I just wish I didn't waste so much money on textbooks and instead invested in other means like Japanese Pod 101 and actual lessons and tutors and talking to people. So that's number 3. Number 2. So something I did a lot of when I first started studying Japanese was use Japanese language apps. This was great for learning hiragana and katakana and basic vocabulary. It was so easy to do like every day on my cell phone on my commute to work. So I was commuting from Brooklyn to Manhattan for work, 40 minutes by train every day. I often didn't have a seat on the train either. It was a very packed train in rush hour. So it was like squeezed up, like standing there, like studying. Some apps are better than others. And I think I started out with the same app that everyone else starts out with. A lot of you have probably invested a lot of time in this app, possibly some money, but it's Duolingo. So when I was using it back in the day, I don't know if it still does this, but it would just at a certain level just start showing you words with kanji before you can read kanji. So you just are memorizing this picture of what the word looks like, but you don't know how to read it, which is not useful at all. It's not the worst, but there's just so many better apps that I wish I just started with these apps entirely instead of wasting so much time on Duolingo. So some of the apps that I recommend, because I tried so many, there are 3 that I really like. One is Lingodeer is a step up from Memrise. So it has an option that you can see the new vocabulary words with kanji, in kanji with hiragana, or just entirely in hiragana. So there are a lot of options on there and I loved Lingodeer for that. Yeah, and their grammar is really good too. I really wish I found Lingodeer sooner. The third one, it's pretty popular, you probably know about it, Anki. Anki actually in Japanese means memorize. In this one you can make your own vocab decks, and this app also uses space-time repetition. It does take a little technical work, like you have to like make your own decks and like download things. It's not like just an easy app. That's the downside, but it is probably one of the best apps for memorizing vocabulary. The last one that I really like, which I discovered recently, is called UTalk. And this one's really great for working on your pronunciation. There's something called phrase practice. Chichi. Chichi. So you can listen to the native speaker and then yourself and you can compare it. How awesome is that? If you know the language but you can't pronounce things right, people aren't going to be able to understand you. So I think pronunciation is super important. It's something I wish I worked on from the beginning. My pronunciation has gotten much better. When I first got here, I was like, arigato gozaimasu. Now I'm like, arigato gozaimasu. If you are interested in UTalk, I do have a discount code. Feel free to use it, feel free to not use it. It's in the description box below. I think it's like 20% off. So yeah, Lingodeer, Anki, and UTalk. Those are the 3 apps that I wish I used when I first started studying Japanese. And now on to the #1 mistake that I made when I first started studying Japanese, and that was not studying kanji. When I first started studying Japanese, kanji seemed like such an impossible task. 2,000 pictures with multiple readings. It just seemed so impossible that I didn't even consider trying it. I was just like, I want to speak Japanese, I don't need to read it. Big mistake. Now I can read about 700 kanji, and being able to read kanji not only helped me learn vocabulary, but it also just makes my everyday life living in Japan so much easier. So what I wish I knew about when I first started studying Japanese was a website called WaniKani. And again, this is not sponsored. I generally use this website and I wish I had started it from the beginning. WaniKani uses space-time repetition to really help kanji stick. It also gives you context, it gives you example sentences, it gives you kanji and vocabulary words to connect it with. It's kind of like building blocks. So first it teaches you the radicals to learn the kanji, then it teaches you the kanji, and then the vocab words with the example sentences. This has been a total game changer in my Japanese language learning experience. I feel like it was necessary to get me from beginner level to intermediate level. So that is my #1 mistake with studying Japanese. Not even considering trying kanji. These are my top 3 things I wish I did differently when I first started studying Japanese. Quick extra advice, make sure you have both inlets and outlets for studying Japanese. So you shouldn't only be taking in information, you should also be outputting, practicing speaking, practicing writing. Yes, maybe find a language partner online or in person. Oh yeah, and also I want to say that I started studying Japanese when I was 26 years old, so it's never too late. If you're like, you know, like I'm past 25, my brain is all hard and I can't learn new stuff, like you can, you totally can. I did start taking Japanese language classes about 1.5 years into my language learning journey, and those really helped so much. I'll link the language school that I went to in New York down below if anyone is in New York. This language school is also in a lot of other major cities in the world. I know someone who went to the one in France. If you are on this Japanese language learning journey, let me know where you are. I'd love to hear your story and any tips that you have. So anyway, I hope this was helpful to you in some way. If you've enjoyed this video and you would like to see more Japan things, please like and subscribe. And that is all for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.